Everyone, welcome. I'm happy to have you here. I am Baoku Duduyemi. I'm the husband of Evelyn Duduyemi, who is the head of Kibole Bole Education Institute. I'm the father of Ayodele Duduyemi, and I'm also the author of A's for Africa, S is for Sovereignty. It's an African-centered alphabet book for both children and adults, where we focus on teaching children to be warriors, healers, and builders for our people. And we also focus on teaching adults how to guide their children in that process. And much of the work that I do for that will be presented today. You could say that today our work is an extension of that work. So for those of you who are here, welcome again. We'll be waiting for others to come in. And I also want to say that for those who miss it this evening, we'll be having another live session on Wednesday. That's 2 days from now. We'll be talking about exactly what we're going to talk about today. So thank you all for coming. So I want you to do two things for those of you who are on, and for those who will see this in some other format. I want you to write down two names. The first name I want you to write down is Kibole Bole Educational Institute. That's Kibole Educational Institute. Again, Evelyn Duduyemi is the head of Kibole Bole Education Institute. I want you to write down that name. And the second name I want you to write down is Aya, that's AYA, Educational Institute. Much of the information, if not all of the information that we'll be talking about today, will have come from my work with those two organizations. So please remember them for future reference. The information, the tools, all of the how-tos that will go into this has come from my work with them. So thank you for coming. Today is the first of two sessions for this particular presentation. And it will also be another presentation. This presentation is the first session discussing and analyzing the Harriet Tubman trailer. In a later session, we will be reviewing the Harriet Tubman movie. But today on Monday and then again on Wednesday, we'll be talking about the Harriet Tubman trailer. This discussion will be led by Ayodele Duduyemi, and I will be supporting her in that. For those of you who are here now, if you have any questions, please begin to leave them in the text chat originally. And then as we get later on in the session, I'll be inviting questions that can be spoken or typed if you don't want to speak them out loud. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to be discussing today. Ayodele will be discussing what she has noticed and what she thinks we should notice and take a look at inside of the Harriet trailer. Now, most of what she'll be looking for or telling us to look for and has looked for herself will be based on what she has learned in the stories that she's heard about Araminta and in the tools that she's become familiar with about injected racial scripts. And she's learned most of that with her work at I Educational Institute. And for those of you who just noticed that I said Araminta, Araminta is Harriet Tubman's given name by her mother. And if you're not familiar with a script, what I'm talking about, a script is essentially a story. A script is a version of a story, and for our purposes, a racial script is a story from someone else's perspective, written by them for our consumption. It kind of directs us and guides us so that they don't have to in the moment. It just happens real quick, kind of instantaneously. We follow the scripts, and they usually serve the people who wrote them's agenda, as opposed to our own. So like, and they usually work counter to or in opposition to the building of warriors, healers, and builders in the way that we want them to. So part of what we want to do today is enhance your enjoyment of watching the Araminta trailer and watching the Araminta movie. And we plan on doing that by making you more aware of how incredible the Araminta story is, by pointing out things that we thought and that were good to see and we were glad to see when we saw the Harriet trailer. So we want you to be able to identify those things because they're powerful things or inspirational things, things we may want to recreate in our own lives for our own people. And at the same time, we want you to be able to identify the scripts that I'm referring to so that you can interrupt them and counter them and begin to run stories from our perspective as opposed to someone else's. So in just a moment, I'm going to ask Ayodele to speak. Let me see if I have anything else I want to say. I think the last thing I want to say is this is very important because this is a new type of oppression. People are used to the old school oppression where, folks deny us things or force us to do things. And in this particular type of, of oppression, they lift up our people who are heroes to us, people who are important to us, people whose doings were special to us. And then they change part of the story. So we end up getting some of what I might call poison inside of a good story about a hero of ours. So that was my lead in. I'm gonna allow Ayo to now go into her presentation about Harriet, the trailer. Thank you very much again for coming. And it's on you, Ayo.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you again. This is my presentation on preparation and protection. My name is Ayo. I'm 13 years old in the 8th grade, and I attend both Kibole Bole Educational Institute and Aya Educational Institute. A lot of the information that I am going to be presenting and talking about to you guys today is from Aya Educational Institute, like the following Araminta class that I took and the Countering Injected Racial Scripts class that I took. And I'll be kind of combining the two, the information that I got from both classes to help me talk about this trailer. We all know who Harriet Tubman is. She was a great woman. She not only freed herself, but went back to free her family, and then went back multiple times again to free people who weren't blood related to her. She did this between 13 to 19 times. Could be more, could be right in the middle, or could be less. You don't really know. This is the trailer. The trailer is literally everywhere. So you've probably seen it. And the first time I saw this trailer, I don't know where I was. I do know that I was on YouTube trying to find something to watch, and I clicked on this one thing that I thought looked interesting. This trailer popped up. I thought it was cool, new movie, just like anything else that would be on an ad. And I was paying enough attention such that I knew when I could press the skip button to then watch what I wanted to watch. The second time I saw the trailer, again, I was watching something on YouTube or trying to watch something on YouTube, and this trailer popped up. Except this time I couldn't press the skip button. So I ended up having to watch the whole thing through. And I noticed that like Beyonce was singing one of the songs and Janelle Monáe was playing one of the characters. And I thought that was cool, but that's all I really thought about it. And I just continued on with my day. When I got home one evening from my grandmother's house, and my dad had told me that I was given permission to teach this class, I went up to tell my mom. We talked about it, and we decided to watch the trailer. At first, I was like, I've already seen that multiple times. I don't think I need to see it again. But we watched it anyway. And this was the first time that I actually paid attention to the trailer. And I was then we watched it multiple times, and I was able to um, find things that I agreed with and also find things that I disagreed with. And we talked about it, and I came up with answers that um, she approved of, basically. Um, and I was very excited to kind of teach this class because um, I wanted to share some of the information that I learned um, by taking some of the classes that I mentioned earlier, following Araminta and counting injected racial scripts multiple times. I took those classes a lot. And so I wanted to share some of the information I got from those classes with you all. This was a good way to do it. I also wanted to, this was a pretty good way to get money to have to start funding the publishing of my books. They're children's reading books, and so I also wanted to be able to do that. So now we're going to watch the video or the trailer, and first thing I want to make sure you can hear it. So I'm gonna press play. If you can hear it, then put a thumbs up, and then we'll keep going. If you can't, then stop me and I'll reshare and fix it. Okay. Not sure what to do about that.
All right, take your time. I'll come out of your presentation and you can go back and find it on YouTube.
Okay.
So the link where you got it from must have changed something, right? While we're letting you do that, greetings, Andrea. We are so happy that you have joined us.
Yes, thank you for spotting that, Evelyn. Andrea, welcome, welcome. We're here representing Educational Institute and Kiboli Educational Institute, and right now Ayodele is looking to start the actual trailer.
Okay, so this is the problem. You guys have my computer currently under restriction mode. So that means that for some reason, I cannot play it while I'm on this computer. So can one of you guys pull up?
I will start looking.
Excellent. So I think
You're
right
welcome,
now,
Mama Evelyn. Sorry, I didn't know where to go on my phone.
No. We're so happy that you're here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Of course, to support. I'm off tonight, so okay, they asked, and I'm like, of course, support all the time.
Excellent, excellent.
Okay, bye-bye.
So I think, Evelyn, you're looking for the video now, right? And you're going to pull it up. That sounds great. That sounds great. I love how, if you've been paying attention, how Ayo described her experience with the movie. The first thing that popped out for me was how the advertisements for the movie, not just advertisements in terms of the video, but the emotional, specifically pinpointed advertisements of Janelle Monáe and Beyonce are meant to draw people in to watching the movie. And that's not a problem in and of itself. I like to see African people employed. I like to see movies about us.
Okay, so you made it. Now you need a car that fits your life. But you're not a real showy person. You're a quality person.
Like
Hold on.
What are you going to drive? You drive this.
There we go. Now, apologize for that. Now, whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay.
Yes, yep.
Yeah,
right.
let's press play.
All right, let's watch the trailer so we can discuss.
There's not much time. You got to be miles away from here before dawn. Where is she? Follow that North Star. If there are no stars, just follow the river. Listen for them. Fear is your enemy. Whoa, easy now.
I'm gonna be free or die.
I don't know if you know how extraordinary this is, but you have made it 100 miles to freedom all by yourself. Would you like to pick a new name to mark your freedom?
Harriet Tubman. You are welcome here anytime. If I'm free, my family should be too. I made up my mind, I'm going back. You're confident, composed. When trouble comes, you'll be ready.
Papers. Says here you're 5.5 feet tall. You ain't more than 5 feet.
Must have won my high boots that day.
Why you back here? It ain't safe.
I come to get you. Bring all of you to freedom.
Do you know what would happen if you got caught? You got lucky, Harriet.
I made it this far on my own, so don't you tell me what I can't do. promised land. I'm gonna leave you.
Harriet, welcome to the Underground Railroad. Everybody, everywhere is looking for you.
God don't mean people to own people. Find this thief and burn her at the stake.
Harriet!
I would give every last drop of blood in my veins until this monster called slavery is dead. Ready? Mom.
Thank you for playing that, Evan. I appreciate it.
Okay, so now that we've watched the video, here are some things that I noticed that were true in the trailer. One of the things that were true was the fact that her father did instruct her to follow the stars, or the North Star, and if there were no stars out, then to follow the river. Another thing that was true was that she said, and I got this from a book in one of my classes. I just don't remember the name of the book at this moment, but it is true that she said, if I'm free, then my family should be free as well. And here are some things that I noticed that were wrong, or things that I would disagree with. The fact that they said that she did all of this great work by herself. In fact, she did not do any of it completely by herself. Even the first time she escaped from the plantation, her father gave her instructions on how to go about doing that, and how she would be able to get to the north. And that was help, because even though she went on the journey alone, she got help to be able to complete the journey. The next thing that I think is wrong is the fact that they said fear was your enemy. Fear is not your enemy. It's one of the things that helps you stay alive. Without fear, you don't know when a problem comes along, you don't know what to do, when, and how to do it. So like in the trailer, when she's jumping off the bridge into that body of water, she might have been most likely was scared of jumping, and she most likely was scared of the captors. But in that moment, she decided which one was worse: to go back to the plantation, and risk getting killed without being free, or to be killed almost trying to get free, being very close to being free. And she chose to jump off the river, and luckily, she survived. I believe that when they tell us that fear is our enemy, they're not talking about like fear in of itself, like you shouldn't be afraid of anything. They're talking about not to be so afraid of something that you're willing to like give up your goal or not work toward your goal, especially if that goal is something that is very valuable to you. There's a person. One of the scripts that I found in this trailer was the SHT script. The SHT script is the superhero trap. It basically is, it makes us think that this one person did all these things and that we could never do what they did or anything close to what they did. The way this script plays in the trailer is the fact that, again, they said that she did all this stuff without any help. which makes us think that we need help to do this, and so does she. But the fact that they keep telling us that she did all these things without any help makes us feel like we're not on the same level as her, that she's better than us, smarter than us, more capable than us. And even in different circumstances, we wouldn't be able to do some of the things that she did. It makes us feel almost less than to her, when really she was just an ordinary person, but did extraordinary and good things for our people. Here are some things we need to keep in mind. The movie, judging by the trailer, is most likely going to be a good movie. But it's probably going to have some things that I agree with, and also, judging from the trailer, probably going to have more things that I don't agree with, and more scripts and other things to be mindful of. But just because there are all these scripts and things that aren't necessarily true in the movie doesn't mean that we should discount the movie or discount the people who made the movie, because these scripts are constantly being pushed in our faces through media, and everyday life. We're constantly facing all these scripts. And then also, this story of Harriet Tubman is a story that a lot of us are told, that a lot of us know. Like if you walk up on a person in the street and just ask them to tell you the story of Harriet Tubman, this is probably the story that they're going to tell. And that's it. Thank you all.
Awesome job. Awesome job.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you. And for those of you who aren't used to hearing mo, that's short for monikasa, which is a kan for good words. So it's a term that praises people for doing good work. Thank you very much, Ayo, for doing good work. I want to point out a couple of things. Ayodele wasn't watching Airmen to the trailer and then trying to plan and find out what scripts were popping up. Ayodele came across the trailer, and when she couldn't click away from it and let it play, she immediately, after seeing each image, after hearing each word, began to refer to what she has been studying, to what she's been learning. And she was able to then interrupt some of the scripts, to counter some of the scripts that she was seeing or believed she was seeing. So that's important, because the training is the preparation for these movies that allow her to do this. This was done way in advance of this movie. So I want you to keep that in mind as I go across and do some of the things that she talked about. So Al, if you'll do me a favor and go to your first screen where you say that Araminta's father said, "Follow the North Star." If you could pull that up, I'll begin to talk about that. Thank you very much. There's a reason why Ayo uses the words right and wrong, and there's a reason why Ayodele says that it's Araminta's father, because in the trailer, it doesn't actually say or that it's Araminta's father, or hint, not that I've seen, that it's actually Araminta's father. What you're hearing is the story that Ayodele learned. It's the story that some of her classmates learned, that I learned, and that is the story that came up when she heard that voice speaking to Araminta. So the stories that Ayodele learned informed the story that she was telling herself about what was going on in that scene and who was saying it. And it informs everything else that she sees and hears in this trailer. And that is important, because Ayodele trusts me, she trusts her mother, she trusts the things that she's learned at iEducation Institute under Wakesama Moyo. And and we're going to have to develop this type of trust and earn this type of trust if we're going to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish for our people in life. Araminta's father in that scene gave her directions. Araminta trusted her father's directions. We want our children to trust us and trust our directions so that we can create Aramintas. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about after I turn off my phone, we'll see how we do that. All right, so is Araminta talked about, if I'm free, my family should be free. Now, we don't know if Araminta meant her nuclear family based on what we saw in the trailer. We don't know if she meant her extended African family. In either way, I would welcome both, because Africans in bondage weren't just individual captives. They had families. They were a community. And if you were in that time, under those same circumstances, wouldn't you want to see your family free? Wouldn't you want to see the members of your community free? See, and that's what we want to teach our youth of today. We want them to, just like Araminta, see their families free and see their communities free and learn the skills needed to make it so. Just like Araminta learned the skills from her father to travel by the river and to follow the North Star. So if we're going to make heroes that focus on African people, we're going to need to develop trust, and we're going to need to know who our family is and who our community is, so that we can raise people that serve us and serve our community. So, Ayo, I want you to now flip to, please, the next scene where you talk about the superhero trap, rather. Excellent. I love how she talked about what this is. I'll explain what SHT is again. It's the superhero trap. And if we're going to have our children enjoying these movies, we have to benefit from, while they enjoy it, to also learning how to critically analyzing it. And I want them to learn how to critically analyze it instead of just throwing away the films themselves. So we have opportunities for learning particular information. We have opportunities for some healing. We have opportunities to become practiced at avoiding the poison pills that sometimes come in these scripts. And you're going to have to learn how to look for the things that could potentially poison us and then interrupt them, to challenge them. And one of those things that we have to look for is this script that we call the superhero trap. And what this is, it's a script that, and you can see it identified in, let me see if I can remember the lines that she said. She said, you made it to freedom all by yourself, was one of the lines that I believe was said. And I don't know if you know how extraordinary this is. He's not exactly saying that it was impossible, but I hear him saying it was darn near impossible and implausible. So what type of superpowers would she have to make it happen? See, the superhero trap does one thing. It makes us think that the people who perform the feats were superhuman. They had powers that we didn't have, so we couldn't possibly duplicate what they had done. So what we end up doing is either giving up completely, or we satisfy ourselves with a fantasized victory. In other words, living through the victory of the characters in the movie and not seeking for victories of our own. And so her pulling up that script is necessary. And I actually want to see if that plays out in the movie. So I encourage everyone to understand what the superhero trap is, to see if that's going to play out in the movie itself, because we're giving you what we believe is happening during the script. During the script, when what we see is the script in the trailer itself. Now, the final thing I want to mention is fear as your enemy. Fear is your enemy. So if you switch to that slide now, Ayodele. And this is critical because, like Ayodele said, fear is not our enemy. fear or feeling scared sends us messages. It sends us a two-part message. One is that there's a danger. We have to recognize the dangers in our lives so we can avoid them or address them. And the second message it tells us is that we deserve reassurance, protection, or support from that danger. And that is extremely critical, when we're talking about raising our youth to challenge oppression, no matter in all its forms. See, we're gonna have to learn how to fight the people, policies, and practices that aggress upon our people. And when we do that, some fears are gonna come up. And when we're taught how to address it, then we can work through those fears and use everything we have to come up with solutions that help ourselves and help our people. And that is, when you recognize our fear, that is the steps, those are the steps we want to take so that we can take the even bigger steps that are going to help our people. Does everyone understand? When you want your children to learn how to address their fears so they can help themselves more easily so they don't get paralyzed by them? All right, so let's see. There are now we've discussed 4 of the things that came up when Ayo looked at the presentation, right? And I like how you said, Ayo, that we need to be kind to our brothers and sisters who make these movies and to the folks who see and believe these movies, because many of these things that Ayo discussed in terms of the fear and the scripts are pushed on us. We're told, we're directed. We call it injected oppression, not internalized oppression, because the blame isn't on us.
Cool. Before we go into that, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Kennedy has put in the text chat that she sees, and Kennedy has taken these courses as well, and Kennedy sees another potential script in the trailer. And so, Kennedy, you want to tell us what you put in the text chat?
Excellent.
Yes, I said the UBO script. By them not saying that Araminta's father said, follow the North Star, and etc., does that mean that they are portraying Araminta as a universal Black orphan based on what we've seen so far in the trailer?
Excellent.
I didn't even notice that.
Excellent indeed.
Excellent,
yes.
Excellent. So UBO is short for Universal Black Orphan. And that happens when we have a character in a movie or a story that is portrayed without any reference to their family, without any reference to their community, and without any reference to their culture. And it's super important to have a reference to those, because our family, our community, and our culture is where we get our mission from. It's where we get our direction from. And so I want you, when you go out to see the movie, to see if that plays out, to see if Kennedy's observation holds true in the movie itself. Do they make Araminta a universal Black orphan? Because if you're a universal Black orphan, you're some type of anomaly, and you normally work to serve whom? If you don't have family, community, and a culture, you work to serve somebody else's family, community, and culture. So let's see, I want you all to take a look at that. Thank you very much for mentioning it, Kennedy, and we'll see if that plays out in the movie. See, part of what we're doing here is preparation for the viewing of Araminta. In no way are we trying to tell people to not go see the movie. In no way are we telling people that the movie is going to be bad. We want you to learn how to enjoy the Araminta story, to get inspiration from the Araminta story, to develop your own Aramintas in yourself and in your children. And at the same time, protect yourself from the poison pills that might be available, from the scripts that tell us to do things that might otherwise harm or discount our folks, or have us fighting amongst each other as opposed to fighting those who aggress upon us. So excellent work, Kennedy, excellent work, Ayo. And I also want to give you a few more things to look for, not necessarily apparent in the trailer, and usually apparent when Hollywood does these types of movies on our behalf, telling stories from their perspective. One of the scripts I want you to look out for is called MSO. And what MSO stands for is, I'm losing a word, but we got it. It is morality in service of oppression. So what morality in service of oppression is and it occurs in a number of movies. Essentially, it's more moral for us to harm, and in many cases in these movies, kill Black people than it is to do otherwise. You understand? So you run into the morality and service of oppression in a number of instances in movies, and we'll see if it plays out in Araminta. Araminta traveled a long distances with a number of people, and she was armed. Let's see who they have Araminta point her gun at and eventually shoot. Let's see who they don't have Araminta point her gun at and eventually shoot and kill. And that's one thing I want you to look out for, because inevitably in these movies, it is shown as wrong or unacceptable or less moral or immoral to kill the people who act as the oppressors of us in these movies. So I want you to look out for that and come back after you watch the movie when we review the movie to see if some of these scripts play out, and we'll talk about how to challenge or interrupt those scripts, and then move forward and address them for ourselves. There's a big script that has to do with Araminta and the gun that I want you to take a look for, because we're told who the gun was for on a variety of occasions. We're told that the gun was, kind of for us. So let's see how they play that out in the movie. Another script I want you to look out for that sometimes plays out in movies is the Great White Hope. And I don't know if I have to explain that one as much as, there's always some actor, a European actor, coming up to save African people in the movie. As a matter of fact, we couldn't actually come to saving ourselves without the intervention of this particular character. And I want to see if that plays out in a movie that's about Araminta. As bad as she was, as knowledgeable as she was, as intelligent as she was, let's see if they throw in the Great White Hope script, where they put a white person in a position of savior. I believe it happened in Black Panther in that way, when the white person that they saved, who was working for the U.S. government, when they healed him and he became a fighter on their side, and essentially they would not have had that victory had it not been for his participation. So we want to see, who do they elevate to the position of savior? Is it African people, or is it a non-African person? The next script I want you to look out for, I guess, is Black on Black violence. I want you to tell me on whom violence occurs. Now, it was a long time, and by whom? It was a long time before I saw a movie where they allowed Black characters to actually harm, to shoot, kill, or otherwise harm non-African and mostly European characters. And so we want to see how that plays out in a film where African people are escaping, being led by a person who is armed, who we knew was armed. And we'll talk about more about who else we thought was armed, maybe at another time, in another session, when we talk about what we know about the Araminta story from our perspective. And you take a look at that. Is there any Black on Black violence in this film, and why that is? So if you look for those things in the movie, we will have another session, not this Wednesday, but following the movie, where we discuss what actually happened and see if these things play out. Because there's a reason why they're in the movies, and there's a reason why we want to recognize them and interrupt those from becoming the main story in our heads, and then introduce our story to our people for our people's benefit.
So that session where we discuss the movie is coming up, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. I do have a flyer available to share that.
No, I do not.
Okay, all right. We will,
I can pull it up right now. I just have to unshare my screen.
Share and pull it up. So we'll have this conversation again on Wednesday, right? So feel free to invite others, right? This look at the trailer look for scripts, prepare ourselves to watch, right? This will happen again 2 days from now, Wednesday, same time, 7 o'clock, same link, right? So invite people. And then we'll give you time, and us time, everybody time, to watch the movie, right? And then we will have that post-movie discussion. The post-movie discussion, what does it say? That is Tuesday the 12th, right? The same time, the same link, okay?
Thank you very much for your participation. See you on Wednesday.
But we're not asking for any comments or anything like that?
Oh, thank you. See, that's why I married this woman. You know, I said to get some points too. Yeah. It's important to have people who can protect, the interests of your family and the interests of your presentations. And so we do want to see if there are any questions by anyone. I opened up saying that you could type questions in the text chat, and also at the end we would be opening up the floor to any questions that or comments that someone might have, and we could discuss regarding Ayo's review of the Harriet trailer and any of the content that we've discussed in this video.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, I can.
Okay. Thank you, family. Ayo, a wonderful presentation. Thank you for reminding us of what we need to be mindful of when we watch this movie coming up and when we watch any movie. Thank you for the reminders that you gave us. Thank you for those tidbits, actually those jewels that you gave us, that you shared with us about the hero that is actually very much like us, though movies sometimes intend to direct us in a way to believe that we cannot be and are not like those heroes that we see in those movies. So just overall, thank you for the time tonight, for the jewels that you gave us. Ayo, for your presentation and the ease in which the family is sharing with us. Thank you so much. I really didn't want to see the movie, and honestly, I still don't want to see the movie because I expect that there's a lot in it. How much is true? I love what Ayo said, what is right and what is wrong of the movie, of the trailer. My thought is what is wrong and what is right of the movie that we're going to see. How much of it is creative authority, and how much of it is actual facts about this woman. I'm not sure if I'm ready to see another movie in which our stories are not lifted for our benefit. So I don't know if I'm going to see it, but I will come back to see the post discussion after the movie, and I will pass this on for others. And I hope that you'll have so many more to come and hear what you have to say. And honestly, not only what y'all have to say, but watching you. We see you interact with each other. We see you interact with your daughter, which is so very special and wonderful to see, and the ways in which you do that. We see you interact with your wife and the way in which you do that. All of that is worth all of the time that we spend just listening to see that. So you're giving us much more than you say on the flyer. You're giving us much more than just the movie. You're showing us such possibilities in the way that you live. So thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Edith. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
More work. More.
So yeah, let's have other, that was a comment and also an appreciation all rolled into one, right?
Yeah.
So we have other comments and other appreciations as we close out.
I have an appreciation. I think that your presentation was amazing, how it was clear and straight to the point. Everything was laid out and how you spoke from your mind and based off of your opinion, not just from sources, but like how it was original and it came from you. And I appreciate also Baba Baoku and Mama Evelyn for supporting Ayo. And this is cool how you guys all as a family did the presentation. It was so, you can feel all the vibes through the computer.
Thank you.
See, and these are the people who will be passing the baton on to. And this is one of the reasons I do this work, so that I can give them everything I have, so that I know that we are in good hands. And I already know that we're in good hands. Just want to make sure they're the best I can make them. And like you said, Ia, maintaining authority over Araminta's story is important. Maintaining authority over that story is one of the ways we're going to have other Aramintas develop from listening to that story, from being inspired from that story, from learning the skills to recreate doings